Hello, fam. Welcome to Shred Strong, the video one for fall 2025, really 2026 program. And I'm so excited that you all are here. I'm just joined by Troy for this session. So, I'm not going to have him on screen unless he wants to obviously share his screen. But I want to dive into first talk about like programming, kind of what's expected, answer any questions I've gotten over the last few weeks. But I want to also start off by congratulating Kara Woolgar. So Kara Woolgar, she's a long time Tread Stronger. I think she's been in the program for like 3 or 4 years at this point. Don't worry, I have some like anniversary gifts that I'm trying to figure out like what to offer and if I'm looking at apparel and things like that. But Kara, she just did the AZT 800. Friends, you just have to look it up because it's multi days. It's like a couple of weeks out there in the desert, 2, 3 weeks out there in the desert of Arizona, and she is crushing it. She feels so accomplished. Obviously, she's still processing it. We were just messaging one another in the app before I hopped on. So, congrats, Kara. Seriously, you slayed this. I know this is a long time goal of yours. And it was just so exciting to like see you show up and put in the work and all of that. So kudos to you, Kara. Seriously, high five and all of it from the Shred Strong crew, especially myself. It's been really cool watching you crush it. But yeah, it was also fun every day to kind of watch to see where your little dot was somewhere in Arizona, in the back roads of Arizona, which is great. But hello, welcome. I'm gonna mute everyone. But so congrats to Kara. But I want to dive in just real quick and talk about current programming and things like that. That way you kind of all know what's happening, obviously, right now and what's in store. So right now we're into our third week. So we have that deload week, then a couple of weeks of progressing, and then next week is going to be what's called our push week. So for those of you who are new to the programming, push week is basically going to be an opportunity for you to push yourself a little bit more with intensity, which means that you can push a little bit closer to 1 to 2 reps in reserve or RIR. And that's what's really going to help you kind of increase the intensity either by increasing the reps and or increasing the resistance or weight that you're lifting. So one or the other. And again, I'm a big fan of subjectivity and like how you're feeling for the day. So check in before every session, like hopefully you already are. Check in, see, hey, ask self, hey self, how much sleep did I get? How stressed am I? If you're a menstruating individual, where am I at in my cycle? Do I feel like energized to lift heavier today? Not to say that I agree with the idea of periodizing your period, but it's helpful to just be aware of where your hormones might be. And fellas, there's going to be days where, also, if you're a little bit more testosterone dominant, yeah, if you're not sleeping great, it might just not be the great day to like try to hit really heavier weights. So instead, just staying kind of moderate and medium, as I like to call it, with your weights and the intensity efforts can be really good just to give yourself a chance to lift, get your strength training in, but then also give yourself the opportunity to not completely implode and, push yourself a little too hard. Um, and again, I think a lot of times folks could be a little too hard on themselves and have the tendency to think, oh, well, I'm not feeling great, for a week or two, or maybe you get sick because it is that season where everyone gets a little cold, a little illness, or pick up something maybe when you're traveling. And you have to pay attention to that. And I think that when we do take time off, we tend to beat ourselves up a little bit, which I get. It's really hard to experience that, right? But I want you to give yourself grace and just know that even if you're taking some time off and you're recovering a little bit more and not going as intensely, that is totally fine because even if you're just showing up and doing kind of a bare minimum, or if you have to take a week off, it's not really enough time for you to lose any type of strength. You don't really start to lose strength until, 3 to 4 weeks of just absolutely not doing anything. So that should be a little bit of a breath of fresh air or a refreshing thought. But even if you're staying consistent and you're just showing up and you're still kind of lifting the same weights, you're still maintaining your strength which, friends, that's a win. So please remind yourself of that because that is seriously a huge win. And maintaining strength is huge because you're not degrading in your strength. Okay. So embrace that mentality. But all of that to say, holidays are coming up. So if you're traveling, by all means, just replace, if you're in the barbell program, replace any barbell specific movement with dumbbells or whatever you have access to. Or you can always grab the body weight workout at any point, which kind of mimics what we're doing with weights, but sometimes I'll put in notes like, hey, do this with a backpack or do it body weight only or whatever. That way you can at least do something that is movement specific, can get you moving, have you feel pretty good, especially if you are traveling for the holidays, come Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, Christmas, all of them, right? Because we do have the next 8 weeks is going to be fairly intense, more than 8 weeks, like 9 to 10 weeks is going to be fairly intense if you are traveling and things like that. So, um, again, give yourself grace, rest if you need to rest, especially if you're ill. Um, I will go ahead and say, like, if you do get the flu or you do get COVID, please give yourself rest. It's really important to rest properly after those illnesses. Um, just coming from someone who had long COVID for a good year after the one and only time I've had it, 10 do not recommend making it worse. And I made it worse because I did intense, like super intense workouts because it actually made me feel better at the time. And it ended up not being great for me. So just be careful. I don't want anyone to ever experience what I experienced for that year. Yeah, just don't, because I'm a healthy individual and it impacted me. So play it smart. But about the programming. So we're in the fall program, which you see. And if you're new here, every cycle is different. Like, yes, I know that gives me more work to do, but I actually love programming and I love programming new things every 4 weeks. You'll see obviously some similar movements from phase to phase, but that's normal because you do want to keep some of, especially the staple movements like our squatting or the lifting form that we're doing right now. And, any type of pressing movement, we pretty much want to replicate that movement at least as the main movement of that day. We want to mimic that anywhere between, 4 to preferably 12 weeks. And then we'll introduce a different variation of a deadlift. We'll introduce a different variation of a squat, or I might mix it up a little bit with tempo, which is going to be coming up. So we're going to do a little bit more eccentric work with the next phase and a lot more glute stuff, definitely hitting core hard because what's a great time or what is great to do this time of year, especially for those of us in the northern hemisphere, which is everyone in this program. um, it's just a great time to build strength and build that stability. And that's one reason we're back into doing our shoulder stability movements because we want to kind of go back to square one a little bit, rehab that, especially after a really long bike season. And then, if you're still biking, great. We're still biking here in Colorado, believe it or not. Snow has not started to fly, but it's a really good time to get strong. Like, just get strong. And you'll notice with the next week, once it's dropped into your calendar here in the next day or two, you'll see there's going to be an extra set or an extra 2 sets that are working weight sets. And because we really want to push it, and then don't worry, then you get to start a new 4 week phase the following week after that, where, okay, great, you're not going to try to strive for 1 to 2 reps in reserve, getting close to failure, quote unquote, or getting close to exhaustion. And instead, we're going to go back to like maybe 2 to 3, not so much 3 to 4, but like 2 to 3 reps in reserve, where you feel like you have a good solid couple of reps in, but not really striving towards that 1 rep in reserve. But yeah, you'll definitely see some more glute stuff. If you're in the barbell program, there will be an adequate amount. I'm wanting to do 8 weeks minimum. I'd really love to do 12 weeks of full on hip thrust. I love hip thrust because it really helps work the low back and the glutes and the hamstrings and a little bit of calf. Like it basically hits all of your posterior chain, which are all the musculature rather on the back of your body. Big hip thrust fan. And what's really cool with hip thrust is it's also fantastic with getting your hips open and helping with low back health and helping with core strengthening, and getting your hips open is really good, especially if you happen to be a mountain biker, which I think a lot of us are, but especially if you're a mountain biker who likes to get a little bit of air and maybe likes to do a little bit of jumping and things like that. I know for me, I'm not a big jumper, but I do like to get some air 'cause it's a lot of fun. So being able to really explode and open up those hips on the tops of those jumps comes in handy. This is why deadlifting is so great, and this is another reason why hip thrusts are so great, for a variety of different reasons. But there's always an intention behind everything, right? And I will say hip thrusts are fantastic regardless of what sport. Really, there's something that I assign for my tennis players that I program and coach, as well as my soccer players, which are my two sports that I absolutely love outside of biking. I have a lot of sports that I love, but yeah, those are really important, as well as some of the MMA fighters that I coach. So I coach a broad range of folks, and just know that even though Shred Strong is biking specific, I can't say this enough. I'm trying to make you more athletic, regardless of what sport you follow. So Shred Strong really just captures everything. There are some things that maybe I do a little bit more specifically, like a lot more rows and things like that, that maybe I would do for another athlete. Okay. But yes, you'll also see more progression with our snowboard and ski routine too, which I'm going to advertise a little bit more, not advertise a little bit more, but announce a little bit more and have you progress a little bit more, especially for those of you that do tend to like more moguls and things like that. That is a finisher that you can do at any point. It's just a finisher. It's called finisher, snowboard and ski something. I can't remember, but yeah, you're going to see that refreshed for the next cycle as well. And you'll just see everything kind of refreshed for the next cycle after next week. Um, Regarding some questions that I had. So that's just a quick little summary of like programming, kind of what's expected. Because we are post season right now, I didn't want to hammer too hard. We're going to wait for that in December and then again in January. So December and January are where we are definitely hitting a little bit harder with the strength portion and really focusing on that, getting some tempo work, getting the eccentric work in. So you're just going to feel a lot more resilient overall. Um, what was it? I started to say something and then I blanked because I didn't have a big enough snack today after the grocery store. Um, okay, we talked about that. Questions that I had. Biggest question that I had for folks was, okay, if I have a dumbbell, exercise, i.e., I don't know, bicep curls or something, right? How do I log the weight? Do I log the weights together? Do I log the weights separately? And I love this question. This is actually one of the questions that I'm putting in the updated training guide, which will be released. I want it to be done for sure before the January phase, but I want you all to look at it in December. My goal is to have you look at it in December so that way you can give me feedback and then I can finalize and update the versioning for January. Um, I used to work in biotech, so it's like I'm real big on versioning documents. But biggest question was dumbbell weights. How do you log it? And how I like to rule this, or assign a little rule is if you're doing like a single arm movement, right? So bicep curls, that single weight is being lifted at one time, okay? By like one part of your body, right? A single arm. So if it's like 10-pound dumbbell, cool. I would actually log it as, 10 reps, 12 reps, 15, whatever it is, and then 10 pounds, not 20 pounds, because you're just lifting one with one arm. Where it gets a little tricky is if you're deadlifting. So if you're deadlifting the set of dumbbells, okay, so you have the set of dumbbells in your hand, and then you're doing the movement, but you're lifting both weights at the same time, and your entire body is doing it. Okay. Then you're going to log both weights. So say it's just a set of 10-pound dumbbells. So log the total weight, 20 pounds. Same thing with squatting. If you're doing a goblet squat or the front squat that we're doing right now with dumbbells, great. Then you're going to log the total weight because you're moving both at the same time and not with you're moving it with your whole body and not a single leg or a single arm. So a lot of folks understood the bilateral versus unilateral, so both arms or legs versus one arm or leg. And that's kind of a rule of thumb. Ultimately, because this is a group program, it's not my one-on-one. My one-on-one clients, I am looking at every little number. I'm watching them progress. I am, you know, like Troy, I used to do one-on-one training with him ages ago, it seems like. But yeah, I look at everything. So I'm like splitting hairs and watching for progression because that's the nature of like one-on-one coaching. But in a group setting, I'm actually not really looking at how much you're lifting and comparing week to week. There are times that I'm looking at the group collectively because I want to make sure that folks are progressing. And then I might say something, which I know goes a step further with group coaching, but that's just how I am. There are things because I'm having you test things. I'm having you all experiment with certain things, and I'm experimenting with you. And you will all are wonderful data points for me to be like, hey, this is really successful. And I get feedback from you all. Like, hey, my low back is no longer bothering me. Oh yeah, my shoulder is not feeling like janky anymore. Or oh my God, the litany of things I've heard over the years. And it's really good feedback for me to be like, okay, this is really working for someone who has a previous labrum tear or something like that. Um, so again, I nerd out on programming, but one-on-one, I'm paying attention. My one-on-one clients, I mean, that's what they want, and that's what I want. And there it's more like accountability and things like that versus the group setting. So with a group, don't worry, I'm not going to be looking at your single weights or anything. So for you, the rule of thumb is just log the weights however you remember. If it's you entering 20 pounds instead of 10 pounds, for example, with my previous example, great, do that. There's no real wrong way as long as you know that you're being consistent with how you're logging it. So hopefully that helps. But everyone was pretty relieved to hear, like, okay, there's not really a wrong way or a right way. Um, so yeah, don't worry about that. But that was probably the most common question. Um, I did get another question about if folks needed just a little bit more rest, especially as they got heavier with deadlifts, for example, or squats, or even bench press. If they wanted to take more than like a minute or 90 seconds of rest, could they? Hell yes. Oh my gosh, hell yes. Like if you have the time, by all means, you can take up to 3 minutes of rest. 3 minutes is usually a good max for you to feel fully rested. Do it. Same thing with the finishers, because I know the finishers, I get pretty intense. So the finishers, if you've been here for a while, and this is always repeated every year, I'll add new finishers, of course, every year, like I do. But there are some finishers like the swing this and swing that. Those are redone because I want you to be able to look at what you did a year ago, for example, and compare, and just even compare how you feel and compare like, oh man, I feel so much stronger when I do it now, like when I do this finisher now. So with finishers, if you absolutely need to take like a little bit more time than the Tabata 10 seconds of rest, please do. Please do. There's nothing wrong if you just need like if you're like, hey dude, I really love having a one-to-one work to rest ratio, like 20 seconds of work, 20 seconds of rest. Oh my God, do that. You're still going to get an amazing like bolus of work after you're doing a workout. Or if you're short on time and you only have time to do a finisher, oh my gosh, finisher is a great way to get like 5 to 10 minutes of work in. I know that that's what I usually do. In fact, I did that last week when I was traveling. Um, so yeah, hopefully that answers the question. I know it answered the question for the folks that messaged me that. So thank you. Appreciate that. Um, and then of course we saw let's see, hold on. We saw Satchel's question, which totally wasn't related to our programming, but I love the community questions that people get. If anyone has advice for Satchel for the Durango to Moab route, by all means, let him know. Oh my God, I'm so excited for you, Satchel, if you do that trip, because the San Juan huts, that hut trip is supposed to be incredible. Um, yeah, as I'm approaching 50, there's more that I'm thinking about, like, "Oh, I kind of want to do that, or damn it, like there's not enough time, I feel like, to fit every single thing that I want to do." So, Satchel, have fun, reach out. I know Beth said she did Telluride to Moab, but not Durango to Moab, but Rachel did. And Rachel would be a great resource for sure to reach out. So if you all want to be connected, just let me know and I'll see if that's okay with Rachel. But yeah, everyone's good. And that's all. Those are all the specific questions that I got. Obviously, I know Beth brought up some questions, which was great about A1C. I don't want to talk about it here just because I feel like that can be such a slippery slope rabbit hole. I do want to do a podcast episode on that. The problem is, so I've already started to outline the podcast episode actually a few weeks ago, and because it's been on my list for quite a while, but it's requiring a level of research that is just a lot more time intensive. So be patient with me while I'm putting all of that together, because of course I never want to misspeak, but ultimately I will say, you know, um, while I'm a certified health coach and I'm literally studying for my board certification right now, that does not mean that I am going to be smarter than your medical doctor, nor am I qualified to give you medical advice. So I know a lot of folks like trust me and things like that, and I love that. However, like my advice is you'll see how I word it, always bring it to your doctor, because I am a health coach, so I am actually used to working with physicians, especially if I have clients who come to me who are looking to work on their A1C or looking to work on their cholesterol. I am actually medically qualified to do that with assistance from their medical care practitioner and their medical team, okay? But they have to be a medically qualified individual, i.e., they have to be a medical doctor or a DO, okay? So an MD or a DO, and I'm qualified to work with them. Kind of much like a registered dietitian. However, the difference is registered dietitians, they can't necessarily diagnose, but they can actually help treat a disorder or a disease or things like that without necessarily having buy-in from medical doctors. So I hope that kind of helps you understand like the lanes that we really have to stay in legally. And I know that there are trainers and health coaches out there in the world that don't do that, so please know it's not me trying to be lazy or anything like that. It's me trying to be responsible and obviously give you the healthiest thing for you and the safest thing for you. Um, but yeah, there is actually an RD, a registered dietitian in my circle. And I'm considering having her on the podcast actually for an interview, because she and I love to talk about these things. And she can obviously speak maybe a little bit more from medical qualification place, because not that RDs can technically order blood work. They have to do that through their medical doctor or DO. However, they do have access to stuff like that. Um, Technically, I could have access to that, but I am not that type of health coach, because yeah, I don't believe in that, unfortunately. But I'm more than happy, to kind of help you advocate for yourself. I am very big, especially with my work history in public health. I really believe in patient advocacy, and I'm here to help you formulate a sentence or two to bring to your doctor if that helps you and it empowers you to have that conversation with your doctor. More than happy to do that. Because again, that's in my lane, but it's not like I'm not here to treat or anything like that. But Beth, I'm glad that that helped shed some light on it, because this is a very hot topic lately for endurance athletes. So it's just something to become aware of, especially with elevated lipids or cholesterol and A1C numbers. So thanks for asking. I love everyone. I just love, like, I love, especially on Mondays when I like log back in. Sometimes I'll log back in on Sundays. I log in on Mondays and I don't know, just messages between you all. I just love y'all. I just love how just supportive you all are of one another and ideas and everything. Yay. But those are the questions I got. So not a ton. Um, but I'm gonna open it up. So Troy, Little Boots. Okay, Little Boots, you gotta tell me what name you're going by, because you're also like the tiniest screen possible. Here, hold on, let me put it on gallery. Hi. Oh wait, Rich? Yay! Okay, good. Okay, you have to understand from my perspective in the app, you all are the tiniest dot in the app. So, like, I've had people who come to races and they're like, "Hey, Jen," and I'm like, "Hi," and they're like, "Oh, it's so and so," and I'm like, "Oh my God, I had no idea," because it's the tiniest little dot in the app. So I can never see your face unless I like zoom in. And I think I have zoomed in on Rich's face. So hi, who's your partner in crime? Oh, you can unmute here. Hold on, let me unmute. Or oh, I have to ask to unmute. Why is that? Zoom, why'd you change that? Who's your partner in crime there?
Is Bella.
Bella. Oh my God, stop it. Does she snort?
Yes,
I used to dog sit Frenchie, and they're just the best. They're the gassiest little things.
she has her moments.
Yeah, exactly. But the cuteness is what makes up for it. But yeah, Troy, Rich, let me know if you have any questions. Those are all the questions that I was given. So um, I don't want to make it too long a recording. But yeah, dive in if you have any questions that you'd like to know some answers to.
Um, so I've asked you before about like shoulder stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so like side exercises, like where I'm on, say, a side plank, right? Any of those, um, like where the side plank where you're doing I don't know what they're called, but the like the twist where you put your sideways, you're like threading the needle, right? Anything
Mm-hmm.
that kind of movement, where it's
Mm-hmm.
on one arm, just um, grinds. A lot of shoulder
Mm.
stuff doesn't, but anything like that where I'm on, like I can't do any even like dumbbell drags, right, on a plank, right,
Mm-hmm.
or you know, um,
Like the bear planks.
bear planks and then shoulder
Mm-hmm.
taps, right? But um, do you think I've been trying to come up with ways to, and I tried it once and it kind of helped, other than it just hurt, was like I put my barbell across the rack and then I put, a what are they, whatever they're called, the cushion, right? The barbell
Mm-hmm.
cushions. And then I laid across it where, so I like supported my armpit on it. So I was still doing a
Okay.
plank
Yeah.
and my I'm being supported basically under my armpit and my kind of my lats, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not fully supporting on my just on my shoulder. And
Okay.
I know you're like you're trying to picture. So
Yeah. No, I mean it
I'm
makes
still doing
sense.
a plank. I can still
It's genius.
do the movement, but I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
find, like I was thinking about getting ab mats, their preacher curl pad because it's kind of triangular shaped. And but I guess
I didn't even
before
know they made those.
yeah, it's called a preacher curl pad. Um, um, that it's made to go on your lap so you can, you know, um, do without having a machine,
Yeah.
do a preacher curl, isolate your but I was looking at going, well, the size of it, I might be able to like, you know, throw my shoulder over it, use it to support me, and then but
Maybe.
still be able to accomplish the side plank and other those exercises. Because on my left side, I'm fine. I can do it all day.
It's just you're right.
It's my
And
right side that just
remind me, do you have a history with something on that right shoulder?
it's
I
been
can't
bugging me for the
remember.
last probably 5 years, and it's and the I
Because I
haven't
remember it being,
and it's osteoarthritis. So there's like
yeah.
nothing I can really do about it. I do want to go to, supposedly in Germany, they have a thing they can inject you with that will regrow and fix your stuff, but
Hmm.
that's not really in the on the on the plan right now.
I know, right?
But yeah, it's like it's frustrating because there's a lot that I want to do, and
Hmm.
so a lot of times I end up, instead of doing the bear thing I just do planks, right, or
Hmm.
push up or something, which doesn't really, it's not getting that that toward that stability, right? That um, kind of cross stability from.
No, but have you tried it? like even on your knees and you still
Yeah, it
experience
doesn't, if it's on that arm, my right arm too, which sucks. But
sucks?
if it's
Yeah.
on if I'm on either my shoulder, like if I'm on my, so for instance, the latest exercise that, the underhanded, I don't know if it's underhanded or overhanded, band pull
Band
apart,
pull apart.
right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, just grinding the whole
Shit.
way. And I can't, but so anything on my elbows or even on my hand where
Mm-hmm.
I'm just supporting, where I'm only supported on my right side, it just pops and grinds and um, can't. Yeah, it just
Yeah. Because
hurts.
it's osteoarthritis, it totally changes things. Because crepitus, like, which is the popping and grinding that way, I mean, at least I experience, like, that's fairly normal. However, if it's presented with pain, great, then you need to get it looked at, which I know you've already had that looked at, and then have been given the diagnosis of osteoarthritis. Now, of course, that does change like how to actually approach the exercises themselves. And you're
Mm.
doing what you need to do in terms of like, okay, especially on the right side, doing that side plank, not going to feel great. But you're unable to do even like bear plank or even high plank up with your hands under
I
you.
can minimize the pain if I have to like really lock in and find
Yep.
the right position for my shoulder, like down and back,
Hmm.
and where it can't move,
Yeah.
right, to get it
Yeah, like you're locking it
super
in
stable.
stability
And
wise. Yeah.
it's pretty hard to do
Yeah.
consistently, other than
Hmm.
yeah, but um,
Hmm.
yeah,
And have you seen a PT for the
yeah.
osteoarthritis? You have? Okay.
Well, no, actually, I was going to a PT before because she
Mm-hmm.
was working with me, and um, and then it was just like, okay, we're not progressing, so go,
Mm-hmm.
go get an MRI, go see. So I got the MRI, and then I went to um, uh, ortho,
Yeah.
and he's like, he's like, you didn't need to get the MRI. You could have just come in and I could have told you what was going
Yeah.
on. And he's like, you have osteoarthritis. He's like, I could do surgery, but it's going to set you way back, and
Yeah.
it won't necessarily um, help. He's like, come
Mm-hmm.
back to me when it gets to a point where it's just unbearable or whatever. You decide.
Mm.
And which, so I haven't
Mm.
gone back to the PT to say, to try
Mm.
and strengthen, you know,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
the guy who I talked to, he was a PA, and he was a mountain
Yeah.
biker. So he
That's good.
under, course,
Mm-hmm.
and of course we started talking about bikes, but
You got to you got to digress during that visit.
yeah,
Because I will
uh,
say in all honesty, Troy, there are exercises that especially help with the mobility of the shoulder blade
mhm,
because as you're noticing like okay if I'm absolutely stable and I have everything locked in it doesn't hurt as much and that is very common especially with shoulder and hip and knee but especially shoulder so we're looking at like any type of ball and socket joint like the shoulder
mhm,
or the hip right and with my clients who have osteoarthritis with either of those joints, the biggest thing is, yeah, finding the stability. But I will say the good news is there are PT exercises that can be, assigned to help with movement of the shoulder blade to help stabilize
mhm,
everything.
mhm,
And it can be super easy. I do program some of these things in, but I don't want to bore everyone with like a bunch of PT exercises because I'm trained by a physical therapist. So I approach things as like a preventative or almost like a prehab. And you probably see me doing that, with your wife. But there's a lot of things that can be done, like the wall angels, which you might remember from the last. Oh, my back just popped. Sorry, from the last phase. Like those can also help because you're really just focusing on getting your shoulder blades to kind of move and then getting a nice range of motion, which also helps strengthen. There are exercises, there's pendulums. I'm trying to think without looking at my notes, with like previous athletes I've worked with. But yeah, pendulum, any type of pendulum exercises where you are supporting yourself with that one arm. And there's some things that, you can kind of look up online, but I can give you a little list that can help. That being said, like there are some exercises that could help, but please know they're not going to help like the first week that you're doing them. You might feel an improvement after about 4 to 8 weeks. Everyone's different, but 4 to 8 weeks can help. Also, if you have a chance to talk to your doctor and just see if it's okay to possibly take fish oil, there's been fish oil is kind of one of those things like if you are experiencing any type of joint pain or even osteoarthritis. I mean, everybody has like certain opinions about it, but it can be helpful to some degree because it does help kind of, I don't want to say lubricate, but it's a good omega 3s. But again, this is depending on any type of other medications you're on and things like that. So clear it with your doc. And then also if you're prone to like AFib, you might want to avoid taking fish oil. But like the risk to reward is so different. But yeah, there's usually like
Yeah.
pendulum exercises. There's like the wall angels. There's like the little towel, kind of towel stretch, which feels a little uncomfortable at first, but you kind of have a towel in
Mm,
between your hands and you're getting a little
mhm,
bit more of a stretch. It can feel uncomfortable at first, so only go to like the range of motion. But I'll see if I can kind of put together. I'll have to look back at my notes and conversations I've had with like other PTs over the years with this particular case, but some of these could be helpful, and if you do have insurance that can allow you to do some PT, I would say even before going and seeing your ortho again, see if you can get a PT and have them prescribe you some exercises, because especially since it is aggravating the one shoulder, and you're right-handed, aren't you?
mhm.
Yeah, it's your dominant shoulder, and it could at least be helpful, but again, give it like 4 to 8 weeks. um but not all hope is lost. I know it's going to be uncomfortable because it's arthritis. I mean, it's inflammation of the joint. Like it's not going to feel good at all. Like I'm not trying to say like I don't believe your pain, because that fucking hurts. Um, but what can you do kind of outside of it? And I think adding in some sort of PT exercises that are specific to that could be really beneficial. But keep doing what you're doing in terms of like if it does help support, like with the barbell and the pad underneath, hell yeah. Like because you do want to have a little bit of assistance, but I think that coupled with doing any type of, strengthening will help. The scap push-ups that we're doing right now, that could help a little bit. It might feel, have you tried those yet in the upper body
Yeah,
routine
those
yet?
aren't
Okay,
too
good.
bad. Again,
Okay, that's
with
good.
with two
Dual,
arm
yeah.
exercises,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have a problem. But
And arthritis.
um, yeah,
I know. It sucks. It sucks because it's like you feel like your body's like denying you of what you want to
yeah,
do, it's
yeah,
like going against you. And I'm saying that as someone who kind of started to get like arthritis in my wrists that I broke when I was a kid.
mm,
Finally, they said I'd get arthritis in my 30s, but somehow I pushed it off to like my almost late 40s.
yeah.
So I know it's like you feel like your body's like, you know, giving you the middle finger. But yeah, I'll look through my notes. Because I'll have to pull them up just to see. But yeah, I will say like it's usually shoulder blade work, really helping to like move your shoulder blades through the full range of motion. And then the isometric work that we're doing right now, the bandit work, the external rotation and internal work, that'll also help. So things like that could be really good. Um, there's other things that I'm just not. I'm not thinking like how is it called, scansion shoulder
That's all right.
raise or something like that. Um, yeah, I think that that can help, which is similar. It's similar to what we've did in the last cycle. So it's kind of like not like a Cuban raise or not like the Cuban press, but similar. I'd have to look. But yeah, that might help too. But have faith, there are some exercises that could help because especially if you're experiencing pain, like sucks.
Hmm. Okay.
Arthritis sucks, man. But
Yeah.
yeah, PT, especially if you have a good qualified PT, I am telling you, God, if I could do it all over again, I'd probably go back to PT school.
PT school.
Yeah, PT school or honestly psychology, because those are two of the things that I use so much as a coach. Um, yeah, but yeah, hopefully that helps. You're already rocking it because you're aware of what you need to do to kind of modify things and support your body. So high five to you. Seriously.
Thanks.
Yeah. A lot of folks just be like, oh, okay, that hurts. I'm just not gonna do it at all. But you're finding ways to kind of work around it.
Hmm.
Um,
Stubborn.
it's okay. Honestly, stubborn is what gets things done. I feel like when you're like determined, you're like, no, I'm gonna find a way to do this. Um, yeah, good question though. Especially if someone else in the group don't know anyone that has osteoarthritis in their shoulder at this time. At least no one shared it in their notes. But there are other areas of the body that folks are experiencing arthritis. Usually
Mhm.
knees. I find knees are very common. So anything for you, Rich? Rich?
No, my thing is just trying to figure out the whole recovery process.
Yeah, recovery.
I overdo it a lot and I pay for it.
How do you feel it when you do overdo it? Like, where do you feel it and
It's
how do
just
you
like,
feel?
it's mostly legs. So, because I've been doing a lot more riding since I'm below my A1C level. Because
Yeah,
I was basically off the bike for since like November of last year.
yeah,
And then I finally got my diabetes under control back in June. And then I just got back on the bike again. So now I'm just overdoing it, but I don't care.
yeah. First of all, kudos to you for getting your A1C levels like back in
Yeah.
range and getting because
Yeah.
I know it's not easy. Like, it is not freaking
Oh,
easy.
I was basically off the chart because when they tested, they said I was like a 14, and
Mhm.
I was at that point where like I was drinking water, like a lot of water, and it wasn't helping. And
Yeah.
yeah, and like my vision was pretty much going.
Oh
And it got
shit.
yeah, I got to that point and ended up going to the doctor. Say, hey, something's not right. I think I might be because diabetes runs in my family too. But yeah, when I went to the doctor and got my test, it's like, oh my god, you are.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh. Well, at least you had the wherewithal, like the awareness, like, okay, this runs in my family. I should probably be more alert and aware of these things. And you got it checked out. So kudos to that on top of getting it back, As far as recovery, I will say, because you have a pretty intense work schedule right now. I think you messaged like, hey, I might, or you commented on one of your workouts. I try to read all the comments.
Uh, yeah, we're
Yeah, like work's being a
my
little intense right now.
yes, like
Okay.
every single night we're opening up. Basically, I do support for point of sale companies, so we're doing a big subway rollout in Australia and Canada.
Hmm.
So it's a lot of overnights on the phone, working with techs, installing stuff, but that's kind of getting in the way and everything. But
Yeah.
it's hard, but I do what I can. But
Yeah.
as far as like recovery goes, like I said, I overdo it a lot on the bike. Um,
Hmm.
because usually I ride Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, and then depending on how I feel, I'll probably squeeze in an extra day there. But it's usually Wednesdays and Saturdays are kind of mellow, and then Sundays are when I just push it too far.
Send it. You full send it.
Yes.
Okay.
So
What do you do
uh,
after your bike rides?
um,
And
I'll
no
do the
shame. Like, I'm not judging.
Usually I like, normally just go to like Mexican food truck, get
Mm,
my get my after ride burrito, come home, eat, and then I'll do the after ride stretches and
okay, so you're
ride.
doing that.
But
Okay.
it's just mostly the legs are just sore constantly. So it's just I
Hmm.
just do like a lot of stretching during the week. I do the for meetings, I'll do the foam roller on my legs.
Okay, good.
But yeah, I don't know how to get rid of the soreness faster.
Hmm. Good. You've already accomplished afterwards, like fueling afterwards. Burrito, it's going to have some carbs with a flour or corn roll, right? The actual like tortilla. You're going to have your proteins if it's beans or if you have meat or anything like that. Great. And then, of course, any veggies or rice or whatever else might be added into it. So it's honestly, I'm a big fan of burritos. Like, I'm a big fan of any type of burrito bowls, tacos, because honestly, it's going to be a fantastic way to get protein and carbs in, right? So you're already doing that. Next, I would say, you know, great, look at your post ride routine, which you're already foam rolling, which is good, because that helps kind of, I don't want to use the word flush out because it's kind of a poor word to use, but it helps at least relax the musculature after a hard effort. Um, Especially if you did push yourself, your musculature in your legs can just get a little bit spastic or just feel like overworked. And foam rolling kind of helps, okay, bring a little bit of relaxation to the area. So kudos to that. I would say the biggest thing next would be to look at how you're foam rolling. You know, if you are foam rolling and just doing long strokes on your quad, which is great. Yeah. So if you have a foam roller and you're doing long, what on earth is over here? Oh my God. Okay. Milo. Um, there was something in underneath my foam roller. So if you're doing like the long strokes when you're laying down, awesome. The other thing you can do, especially if you find that you have like a spot on your quad that's particularly sore or sensitive, is you can hang out and you'll see because I have this in one of the particular videos, the foam rolling video where Dr. Russ and he hangs out on it and then it's what's called pin and tack. This is an awful angle. Boop. So you're gonna pretend I'm on the ground. Pin that sensitive spot and then you're gonna tack. So you're gonna move the leg through a full range of motion that you can from full flexion to full extension, and that'll help. And then you might have to angle it a little differently and then do the same thing. So that type of foam rolling can also help with certain area soreness. Um, I did not put this on the list of stuff to get. Um, this was actually gifted to me. Oh my God, like going on almost 20 years ago from a friend of mine, one of my besties, and it's called the Stick, and it's bendable, kind of flexible. There's also harder ones you can get, but you can see it has a little bit of bend to it, and it has these little PVC things that roll. I personally love this, and I will like after a hard ride, I will smash into it, into my quads. So that can also help too, if you're open to it. I think they're maybe $20. I don't even know. Um, but they last forever. Obviously, that thing's almost 20 years old. Thing has not been broken, and I've tried to break it. Um, Next, thinking about hydration. So staying on top of your hydration, making sure that you're getting fluids in throughout the day, especially before, during, and after bike rides. And then on top of that, protein throughout the day. So you're already getting it in your post-workout, burrito. And but then throughout the day, making sure that you're having protein at every meal. And depending on how much you weigh, I mean, this is a whole other deeper dive to go into, but like depending on how much you weigh, I really suggest, taking your body weight in pounds and multiplying it by zero point 0.7. And that gives you at least a good minimum grams. Now, I'm not asking for people to weigh out their food and measure all of their food. But if you do happen to look at nutrition labels, if you do eat more foods that come in packaging, which is fine. I know a lot of people poo-poo that, but whatever. Um, you can always look on, for example, for your food truck burrito. I know it's not the same, but look at Chipotle's nutrition facts online. I know Chipotle is nothing like what you're getting out of an amazing food truck, but Chipotle will at least give you an idea of kind of what you might be getting in the food truck burrito, if that makes sense. And you can kind of build the burrito and you can kind of see, oh, okay, that's like 50 grams of protein, which is a really good amount. And um,
Yeah, that's kind of like how I do my burrito bowls at the moment.
okay, good.
So
Yeah.
I have a general idea. So.
Yeah. Just again, we're just building awareness. I don't want anyone to ever become obsessed about how much they're eating and what they're eating. Um,
Oh no, that's not
maybe
me.
okay, good. Okay,
I'm
good.
I've done the whole food measuring thing, and yeah,
Good.
I don't have the patience for it anymore.
Exactly. And but it's also like about awareness, right? And I feel like it is so great to do it for even 2 to 4 weeks because holy hell, you're going to learn so much about how you're eating and what you're eating. And it brings so much awareness to the whole process. Like, I still to this day remember the very first 2 weeks that I ever tracked how much I'm eating. And I was like, what? Like, I was only getting like 11 grams of fiber in a day. And colorectal cancer runs in my family. So I quickly changed that because I was like, okay, I need more fiber, and I definitely needed more protein and actually needed more I needed a lot more food. I was under eating. Um, so then look at your protein throughout the day. Then on top of that, sleep, sleep. Like how's sleep? Because you are working probably overnight a lot. Um, and that can impact, do you sleep during the day? Is that usually your shift? Or
It depends. It varies. I'll get like 8 hours. Sometimes I'll get 4.
yeah.
Also depends. My dog likes to wake up at 3 in the morning for some odd reason to go outside.
Bella.
So
Bella. Bella
yeah.
needs no better rather. Yeah, it happens. And I only say that because the shift workers that I work with, or the folks who do work overnight, or especially in support, because like my father used to work support, and he would sometimes have to do those overnight shifts. And it it's different. I mean, it wrecks your sleep, it wrecks your circadian rhythm a little bit. So then, okay, how can you benefit? Like, how can you make it work for you? And then I would say the biggest thing, especially for those days that you do have 4 hours of sleep, maybe don't hammer it hard that next day. So that would ideally, like the next day after a 4 hour bit of sleep and like just less quality sleep, I would really suggest going a little bit more down tempo, like doing something where you're just kind of moving and you're just doing some strength, but you're not necessarily hammering a bike ride, but maybe you're going out and doing like an easier pedal. That can help recovery too. Um, but then also even just, I mean, there's so many ways you can kind of approach this. It's just a matter of kind of finding like what you're not already doing and what you're doing, and you're already doing some great things. But now, okay, how can we emphasize or enhance certain things? So the sleep as best as you can. I mean, working a certain shift and overnights, it's like having a child. Like you have to do the best you can with sleep, honestly. So just trying to get light on your skin, in your eyes. I don't mean stare at the sun. Please don't do that. But like, getting out with sunlight, like as soon as you
Oh
do
no.
wake up, if it works with your shift, like however that is, just to kind of get your circadian rhythm into some sort of rhythm. But again, I know it's really hard on those nights that you're working. Um, so again, just do the best you can. I do have, because I have, so I'm not the greatest sleeper. Notoriously, I'm actually a much better sleeper this past year, especially. It's taken a lot of work. If you ever need help with sleep, there is this woman who's a friend of mine. Her name's Jax, and I have her video, and it's dropped in everyone, even my one-on-one clients. I usually try to remember to drop it in there because sometimes people are like, I have a hard time sleeping. Her yoga nidra, it's not yoga. So it's not yoga in the sense of yoga, like, hey, I'm gonna get on a mat and like chill and whatever. But her yoga nidra for insomnia, I listen to Jack's YouTube video. It's linked in Shred Strong, so you'll see it under the yoga and just look up yoga nidra for insomnia, I think. And it's her voice. She has the most, like, I can't even replicate her voice. It's like It's so deep, but so relaxing. For the longest time when I was doing it, I would not get through a full 20-minute YouTube. Like, I'd have it on my phone, and I think I pass out within the first 5 minutes because her voice is so relaxing. But she does a little bit of breath work, which can really help. So, the reason I suggest this is because it's helped so much with folks who work shift that I've worked with one on one. That like doing some sort of yoga nidra. I like Jax's voice. I know everyone's different. I think her voice is incredibly relaxing, and I have had some of the deepest sleep of my life after listening to her yoga nidra for just even a few minutes. Um, that could be an option where you're like, okay, cool. Those nights that I know I'm going to probably get 4 hours, or it'll be like less quality sleep. How can I maximize the quality as much as I can? Because maybe I can't maximize the quantity, but what's the quality sleep? Because it's the deep sleep, which yoga nidra helps with, which is the deep sleep and REM sleep. That's what's going to help you recover, even if you get like 4 or 5 hours of sleep. Um, and that could help with the excessive soreness that maybe you're feeling. If you're already hammering hydration, protein, your nutrition's good, and your post-workout stretch and foam roll sessions are really good. So you already have the basics down with that. Now it's just a matter of like, okay, how can you optimize your sleep as best as possible? I hate to use the word optimize because I feel like it's kind of overused lately, but you know what I mean. Like, I'm not trying to biohack you, but like, what can you do to get your best sleep as best as possible, especially with shift work? So maybe it's worth trying the yoga nidra if you're open to it. It does mean you need to have YouTube up on your phone or whatever, but you can put autoplay off. So after her video is done, it will not play into another video that could wake you up. Um, and maybe set your timers on your phone or whatever. That's just what I've done where I've had her YouTube video play and I don't watch it, I just listen to it. Um, if you have a partner and you share the bed with a partner, then maybe put in AirPods or something. I've literally fallen asleep with my AirPods in. It's pretty hilarious. But I was desperate to get some more sleep. Um, that's an idea. And then also, if you're like, I'm not really feeling some breathing exercises before bed, um, or the yoga nidra or whatever, then even just the act of kicking your feet up the wall, like putting your back on the floor and kicking your feet up on the wall and just relaxing and doing like a few deep belly breaths, that can be enough to really help downregulate your system, get you in more of a parasympathetic state, which is more of your rest and digest state versus your daily sympathetic state. So, sympathetic is where you're working and you're like, okay, I'm a little stressed, or damn it, I have this other support request, or,
Yeah.
with work, right? Or like even demands of life. Great, we're at a sympathetic state, which is fine. I mean, that's what keeps us alive, right? But we want to be able to train our bodies to get into a little bit more of a parasympathetic rest and digest state. And one of the easiest ways to do that is through breath work. Doesn't mean you have to become a professional meditator, but even just being able to like take a parasympathetic deep breath, or doing that unwind deep breath, work that I have um in the app. I'm trying to remember what I have it under
I think it's
because I
also under
just
the post
is
ride
it under the
thingy.
post ride? Yeah, yeah, at the
Yeah.
end. It's at the
Yeah.
end, right? Okay, thank God I still have it in there. Because I was like, I think I just do it automatically now, so I actually probably should run through the video. Um, So yeah, doing that, if you haven't done that yet, that can help a little bit. And you don't have to kick your feet up on the wall, like even kicking your feet up on a bed or a chair or something that's a little bit more conducive to whatever your space is, that can help. So that's kind of like a multi-tier, and that's actually what I talked about extensively in my conference presentation last week, was like getting people in touch with like even just opening up their awareness around their breath and getting some parasympathetic breath work, like breaths in, um, because it's something that can often be very overlooked, unfortunately. But it's such a powerful tool to have in your toolbox, for when
Yep.
you are just like, oh man, I am feeling under recovered. And then, of course, on top of protein, just making sure you're eating enough um, throughout the day. But it sounds like that's not necessarily a concern.
Oh, that's still a
No.
concern because they got me on
Okay.
because I'm taking like shots for the diabetes, so it's I'm not hungry as it is, so I kind of have to like
Yeah,
force myself to eat. So
yeah. It mutes the hunger, just like GLP-1s can mute the hunger. So you kind of have to make sure it's like a balance of just making sure you're eating kind of what you need to sustain yourself and then also help with recovery. But then, like, damn it, you have medications that are impacting your hunger and appetite. But I think
yeah, I
as long as you're eating like pretty regularly throughout the day, making sure you have the protein at every meal, that could certainly help. Um, but yeah, I don't know if that helps at all. Just based on what you're
it's
doing already.
yeah, it's like I said, I push myself a lot because just that's just how my brain works. Like
Hmm.
especially like if I'm doing like just like level two exertion, like
Hmm.
about 30 minutes in, I was like, okay, this isn't funny anymore. We're gonna go amp it up. So just like, okay.
Hmm. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. And then I think as long as you have like a good one solid rest day, or active recovery day a week, that's good. You know, just remind yourself that like the rest days are actually when you get stronger and when you do get more recovery and more like you're going to see the progress more from all of the work that you're putting in is after rest days. And sometimes we just need that reminder of just like, oh shit, like the rest day is actually where the magic happens and when I'm able to recover effectively after your harder efforts. So giving yourself the one or two rest days, and some people need two. Like I find for me, depending on the time of the month, I might need two, you know, which is unfortunate because it's against my personality, but now that I'm in my late 40s, I just notice my recovery is a little bit different no matter how dialed my nutrition is, no matter how dialed my sleep is. It just helps to kind of have a little, and again, it doesn't have to be full rest, like you sitting on the sofa eating bonbons, is what I like to say. Like it could be you just going out for an easy stroll just to spin the legs and get a little bit more blood to the legs, but give yourself still that hard day of really sending it like on Sunday or Thursday. I can't remember what day you said, like fully
Some
sending
days.
it on that day. Yeah, send it. And then maybe it's just a matter of like, okay, Monday, I'll do like an easy pedal or whatever it is. Um, you might notice a big difference with that too.
Usually
So,
Bella, I'm usually outside all the time anyways, because Bella has to go out like 20 times a day, it seems. So just
yeah.
like it's like I need to walk. It's like, okay.
Hmm. And that certainly helps. And leg soreness, I mean, for sure, easy pedal on the bike can help just to get blood delivered to the legs to help flush out any type of toxins, but good kind of toxins, like toxins that happen after workouts. These are positive toxins, but it can help kind of flush out the legs and get a little bit more blood flow to the area, which can help with soreness and all this other stuff. So, I'm real big on like, okay, if you can't get out for a bike ride, especially if it's rainy, or the weather's not conducive for that, even just doing some air squats, or like body weight air squats or something like that can also help just get some blood flow to the legs a little bit more since that's your point of complaint, that area.
Yeah. Yeah, everything else is fine. It's just legs.
Yeah.
I
Effing
I like
legs.
I like using my wife's vibration plate.
Oh, she
They
has the vibration plate. I forgot.
they
Yeah.
it they seem gimmicky, but they actually it helps. It
Yeah.
it just shakes everything and it's good for your lymph and all that other stuff. But
Hmm.
I've
Hmm.
I've I'll hop on when I'm sore, and I think it does absolutely help. It's like an all
Yeah, I
over
haven't been on one in
massage in a way.
forever. It's been
Yeah.
years since I've been on one because I remember they went through like it was so hot, especially in the 90s and like early aughts. Um, Also like if you're ever open to, I mean, it is the holidays, and if you celebrate and maybe someone's looking for a present for yourself or you're looking for a present for yourself, also on top of that, it's not nothing like the vibration plate, but percussion therapy is what it's called. Any type of like Theragun or I don't have the Theragun. In 2020, I bought like a $99 Theragun knockoff from like, I mean, it was 2020, so everyone was having deals on everything. But this thing is so great. I haven't used it in a hot minute 'cause we have one at the gym, but it just like you just looks awful. Looks violent, but I promise it's not. But even just like getting like your quad head at the top, like above your knee, and then up to here, and just following kind of like oops, your quadriceps. I did not put
Uh,
that head in. That helps so much. But yeah, percussion therapy does help. So thanks for saying something like that, Troy. If you
but
don't
they're
have a
good.
vibration plate, because I know the vibration plate can take up room.
Yeah, they're not too bad. It's not very big. We just,
No, okay, that's good.
yeah, they're pretty, and I mean, at least on Amazon, they're pretty
run, I'm
inexpensive.
I'm
But
fastly running out of space in my apartment.
Yeah, I know. Gotta
yeah,
save room for the bikes.
Oh,
Bikes are
it's like
priority.
it's got bikes, I got guitars, and I got photo equipment,
Nice.
and it's just like I have every expensive hobby you can think of, and
They
the
all
other thing
take up
that I've
space.
is and Jen will endorse this is the Beta Red from Enduro Bites. It does
Yeah,
help.
if you're ever open to it.
It does help.
Yeah. Yeah, Beta Red is so good. I'm using the you can hear my voice vibrate because I did a little bit of glute stuff today. So Beta Red is really good. It has like beta alanine in it. It has like beet stuff in it. And Brian, who owns Endurobites, he's such a stand-up dude. Like he has his PhD and I don't even remember anymore, but like biochemistry or some crap. So he totally nerds out in the current science and everything. So Beta Red is really good. I find it does help um with recovery if you're open to supplements, and maybe that's like the 1 to 5% that's going to be the difference maker for you. And it's worth exploring. So yeah, again, Troy, thanks for saying something because I totally wasn't even thinking about supplements, honestly. On top of that, let me put this down. On top of that, I would also consider if it's not going to counteract, whatever, if it's not going to interact with any medications that you might be on, magnesium. If you don't take magnesium at night or with dinner or something like that, just a low dose. You don't need a whole lot. Talk to your doctor, of course, because I'm not here to prescribe anything. But I find that also can help with just recovery and soreness and help with like relaxing your muscles a little bit more too. Um, what kind of magnesium? Because there's like 4 or 6 different magnesiums. I can't even remember off the top of my head. It all depends. Um, but usually like some sort of magnesium blend is the best. And the good news is magnesium tends to usually be a little bit more of the cheaper supplement, depending on like quality. A great brand that I like that is affordable and has facilities that are always inspected and followed good manufacturing procedures or GMP is Now Foods, so NOW Foods. I find that they're always affordable and they put out quality supplements. Um, but examine.com is where I go for advice. Uh, First and foremost, you can access free stuff. Um, like they usually have even supplement guides on here. And I'll put it in the chat. But again, stand up people, they don't sell anything on here other than, like, for example, I have a lifetime membership for them. I bought it right after I became a coach many years ago. Um, because as a health professional, it really helps me stay on top of everything, but they have a whole group of PhD and PH and just other folks that have masters and that do research, and they review like the latest research on everything. I mean, anxiety, and of course they're never giving medical advice, but they're saying, hey, here's some supplements that could benefit in addition to maybe other anti-anxiety medications that you're taking. Just using that as an example. But they have a whole thing on magnesium and also muscle soreness, if I'm not mistaken. They changed it. But if you want to like learn about what some things are and like say maybe you ask me and I don't get back quickly enough or something, I feel like they are such a great um, resource of legitimate information and they're not trying to sell you anything because they literally that's what they pride themselves on is they're not they're not selling supplements like some of these other websites are, where they're offering advice, but then they're selling supplements. Um, that's kind of great. And they link to any studies that you want to read a little bit more about and all this other stuff. So sometimes some of it is locked to just Examine Plus members, but it's pretty, like, honestly, most of the stuff is pretty on point and they give a pretty good summary. Um, but yeah, examine.com is good. And then they go into a nice overview. Man, I just looked up muscle
Consumer
soreness.
Lab, consumerlab.com
Yeah,
is a
Consumer
good
Lab's
one
good.
too.
Yeah, especially if you want to look at quality
Hmm.
of things. Um, I know that they do, there was something with Consumer Lab because I know they do independent testing and they do publish the result of their tests in product reviews. But I don't think this is the one that has like the supplement companies buy a membership, you know what I mean, Troy? I think Consumer Lab is the one that's okay.
Yeah, they don't sell anything. They don't.
That's what it is.
Yeah, there's nothing.
Okay.
They do a lot of comparison. They do a lot of quality testing. Seems like a
Hmm.
lot of shit has lead in it. I
Yeah.
see that pop up a lot, especially with
Yeah.
protein powders and other things like that. Um, but um,
Labdoor, that's what it was.
hmm,
Yeah, because so
yeah.
Labdoor, they independently buy their supplements from stores and test them in chemistry labs, and then they do publish the results. But Labdoor, how they make the money is they do link to those supplements that they're testing, but they're not testing every supplement out there. So that's another option too. But, generally speaking, I usually go with Now Foods mostly because they tend to balance the cost effectiveness with the quality pretty well without being like Thorn or something that's, usually a lot more expensive. Um, so yeah. And the problem with like supplements like Thorn, for example, is, sometimes they'll sell their products to local practitioners or even health coaches like me, and then they get like what's the word I'm looking for? Like they basically have a sponsorship with Thorn and they get like kickback for selling Thorn's products. And I personally would rather people, educate themselves on the supplement, find a good quality supplement that falls in their, budget, and then go from there. That's one of the reasons why I personally don't do supplements or do like codes. I do codes with flow formulas for sure. I did do a code with Endurobytes, but I know Endurobytes, because of current economic things, the the pricing for some of his items for like his bars that he used to do and supplements have gotten so high that he's actually had to eliminate producing his food bars. But he is still producing the Beta Red, and the Beta Red is very good. Um,
Yeah, and sometimes they have really good, like 30% off sales
yeah, yeah,
on Gatorade,
no, 100%.
and that's
So yeah, there you go. I know that's kind of a long answer, Rich, but there's so many ways you can go about it. Oh man. And now I'm down the rabbit hole. It's been a while since I've looked at this, like US Pharmacopoeia. And like, so I'm looking at USP.org now, and I'm like, okay, Jen, stop. I mean, I used to work in like that industry. And Brian, who owns Endurobytes, he used to work in like pharmacopoeia and like supplements. So he actually used to work in supplement company. But he's really big on, whole foods first, supplements next to kind of fill in any gaps. So yeah, examine.com. Man, how does diet affect DOMS? One study comparing the effects of a high and low carbohydrate meal on delayed onset muscle soreness found no difference between the two groups. That is wild because holy shit, I notice a big difference when I have low carbs. I'm so sore. I am so sore. N equals one, this study here that includes just one patient, Jen, has found that, yeah, I benefit more from like having a higher carbohydrate meal. That's amazing. But then,
Yeah,
of
it's,
course, they go on saying like it's best to follow the basics of recovery from exercise, adequate fluids, calories, protein, and sleep. So protein and overall calories are incredibly important.
yeah,
Um,
being prone to diabetes now. Just okay.
yeah,
Well, you got to
yeah.
watch all this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
all them
Mm-hmm.
things that you need to
Yeah.
fuel yourself with. I was like, oh, great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
But
I'm
burrito.
still,
Burrito's good.
yeah. So, yeah, I also made an appointment with a dietitian,
Good.
work around the whole diabetes diet stuff too. So, yay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it'll
Because I,
help. RDs are great. RDs are such a wealth of information when you're going through something like that. Um,
yeah, because
they
I
can just
changed,
see things that maybe you're not seeing.
yeah, because I changed the whole, like, eating habits a whole lot since I got the hypnosis. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, can't have rice for until we get your A1C down. So, just
Yeah.
switched over to cauliflower rice, which was, I've yet to find a good cauliflower rice because they were all just kind of bland. It's like, yuck.
Yeah, I know. It's cauliflower,
Yeah.
just use it as a palette. Use it as a palette, use it as the base, and just add whatever you can. Yeah, when I was going through that issue, especially when I had high blood pressure years ago, I added salsa like no one's business to everything I ate. I was like, this needs more flavor because cauliflower rice was awful.
Yes. I still eat it, but it's just kind of like,
Yeah.
how do you make it better?
Yeah, it's just, it's one of those you just whatever you add to it has to be flavorful because it's going to be really bland if not. But yeah, you're all already working with someone, which is good. So, and it does also say, are there any other treatments for DOMS on here? Vibration therapy. There you go, Troy.
See?
There you go. I'm telling you, I love examine.com. I love examine.com. And what's great is they update everything. Like, oh my gosh, frequently. Because I get an email summary at least once a week of everything that they've updated in terms of summaries and things like that on their website. Um, but it could be like just a really good resource. Have any supplements been studied for DOMS? Curcumin, BCAAs, tart cherry juice, fish oil, taurine, vitamin C, and beetroot may be helpful for treating the symptoms of DOMS. However, there is mixed evidence regarding the efficacy of these supplements for DOMS. Um, Furthermore, because DOMS will resolve without treatment, using dietary supplements may not be worth the potential risks associated with these supplements because they're never really tested, such as potential drug interactions or unlisted ingredients. It's like I used to work with drugs or something in a past life. Sometimes I read this and I'm like, oh my God, that sounds like what I just kind of said, which is slightly embarrassing. But yeah, it's always look for interactions before you take anything. I cannot emphasize it enough because even something that sounds like simple could be, just not a great interaction. But yeah, that's it. All right. Well, I know we've chatted a lot more than I thought, a lot longer than I thought. So hopefully someone will find this recording entertaining, um, and useful. But yeah, thanks for joining, friends. So glad I got to see both of your faces and see your face a little bit more up close, Rich.
Yeah.
I was like, little
Little.
boots. Who's little boots? What's going on? Um, but yeah, let me know if you ever have any questions about anything. Group chat is really the way to go, especially for like quicker answer, especially if I'm with a client or whatever, or I'm at the gym and just not on the app in the messaging. Um, yeah, so grateful you all are here and diving right into this fall cohort before we get going with the winter cohort starting in January. But I'm looking forward to the December phase too.
I'm in
But I'm
Texas,
looking,
so
yeah, there's nothing.
there's no seasons.
Yeah,
It's
exactly. Where in Texas are you? Because I know you
Austin
gave me the address. Wait, where?
or Pflugerville, but that's like the north of Austin. We're basically
North
on the
Boston?
border. Yeah.
Austin. I love Austin area. I absolutely love Austin.
But
I used
yeah,
to
it's like right.
work there a lot.
Yeah, right now it's nice 80 degrees at 6:30.
Oh my God, 80 degrees.
Yeah,
Jeez.
It's like,
and we're in November already, so
holy hell. It's not even, no, no. What are we right now? I don't even know where we are right now here
We're
in Denver. Here,
we're
let me stop the
42 in
recording.
Spokane.
Let me stop